I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll and read the prepared statement.
May 8, 2018. Please be advised this meeting is being taped for audio and video broadcast. The meeting will also be closed captioned. It is important that everyone speak clearly into the microphones and only one person speak at a time. Assisted listening devices are available. Mr. Burnett.
Present.
Mr. Porcello.
Here.
Mr. Sacchinelli. Ms. Smith. Here. Mr. Stern.
Here.
Ms. Melendez.
Here.
Mr. Ioannidis.
Here.
Ms. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Sims. Mr. Kites.
Here.
Ms. Siegelbaum.
Here.
Mr. Hempstead.
Here.
Mr. Serenides.
Here.
Mr. Igneri.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
14 present. We have a quorum.
14 present, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda, acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 24th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Igneri moves. Any corrections, deletions, additions to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Ms. Bowman abstains? 13 to 1, with 13 in favor, 1 abstention, no opposed. Public participation, Ms. King?
Jack Jordan Byron.
Present and pass.
Richard Bonifant.
Thank you. Richard Bonifant, 17 Park Hill Avenue. Good evening. I'd like to speak on items number 9A, B, and 10 all at the same time because they're all related. Tomorrow, if these pass at Columbus School, they'll probably be celebrating in the hallways and making announcements about Columbus School going forward and getting the piece that they wanted. But the civics lesson is really that they're not going to tell you is that they're taking away a park where 500 kids roam around and run free, and they're going to replace it with a ball field way farther in the back. In that you're going to take away somebody's property back there. You're going to take away somebody's property, but the civics lesson is it's all right as long as you get what you want. So, and you're going to celebrate because you're getting a nice new school. And the number 10 part is with the swap of the land from Springwood Park to the buffer zone behind North Community College. Mr. Hempstead will tell you, we already did this once before and preserved it. We promised those neighbors it would never happen. So basically, you're categorizing it. You're going to put it on you're going to call it official open space. So in the end, you're putting that in play for a trade to be named later when they need that land for something else, like for North Community College to expand in the back. So these people really shouldn't get any false sense of security because that'll be traded someday for something else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Kosha.
Hello, everybody. I'm the owner over at 10 Tito, third owner, and we've owned the building since 1988 and the business since then. It's been in the family a long time, and it's a good building, commercial building, pays taxes, has income. And, you know, to put a soccer field in its place just doesn't make any sense. I mean, even I could tell you that. It just makes no sense whatsoever. To the city, I mean, you lose tax money, and we're going to lose our livelihood in the future years to come. And we're not going to stand around and just let you guys do what you want. It's not going to happen. And I don't want to be a pain. I'm not trying to be a pain in the neck, but there's more to it than just, you know, money. There's other stuff involved here. So that's really what I wanted to say, and we're just not going to stand around and let you guys have your way. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else has signed up to address the council. Is there anybody else at this point? Yes, ma'am. If you come forward and state your name for the record and your address.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sharon Stewart, 15 Madison Street, and I live in South Norwalk. And I have a question to address to the council because I'm also speaking about this land swap. My question to you guys is, if you do this proposed land swap and you give Philo Street to the children who play in the playground and in the area, and for the people who utilize that property that you're taking from them, how are they supposed to get there? You realize they can't utilize the other property because they won't be able to get there. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Seeing no other persons wishing to address the council, I'll close public participation. There are no resignations and appointments that come before under the mayor's purview. Now, under my remarks, I have a couple. This Saturday, May 12th, Norwalk High School will hold its annual cleanup, campus cleanup. If you haven't been there, you'd be very interested in seeing the number of young people at Norwalk High School that come out and work together along with faculty. There's usually probably 150 to 200 young people that come out and clean up the campus. They plant, they put mulch in the proper places, and it's an annual event. It's really a great thing to see and a great thing to participate in. Don't forget that Mother's Day is this coming Sunday. It's an opportunity to pay tribute to our mothers, our wives, our daughters who may be mothers, and the people who make us better than we can be on our own. It's a wonderful day to pay tribute to all women and thank them for what they do for us on a daily basis. On Tuesday, May 15th, the city, through the Tree Advisory Committee, will hold a tree dedication ceremony at St. John's Cemetery on Richards Avenue at 10 o'clock. They will be installing trees along the frontage of the cemetery in an effort to restore the street canopy in that area of Norwalk. Bishop Caggiano will be present for the celebration. Everybody's invited to come out and join in to watch this and to participate. The same morning at 11 o'clock, May 15th, will be the 2018 Annual Police Memorial Ceremony at Norwalk Police Department. It's an opportunity for us to remember not only the 4 Norwalk police officers killed in the line of duty, but police officers from around the country and indeed around the world who have lost their lives serving their individual communities, protecting us while we sleep, making our lives a little bit safer, and making us feel comfortable that they're on duty patrolling our streets. Again, that's right in front of the police headquarters at 11 o'clock on May 15th. On Thursday, May 17th, we will dedicate the road from Sunset Road to Eversley Street, the road that passes behind City Hall, to the former Mayor Frank Esposito. Public is invited. Mayor Esposito served the city as 7 terms as mayor. Prior to that, he was a state representative and gave a lot of his time and energy. I'm pleased to announce that his wife, Louise, will be there to participate in the festivities, and there'll be a reception afterwards. A reminder that the Veterans Committee will hold 2 ceremonies in commemoration of Memorial Day. On Sunday, May 20th, will be the Shea McGrath ceremony with a 12 noon concert, followed by the ceremony at Calf Pasture Beach. The Shea McGrath Memorial has been restored. They've taken down some plaques, restored some of the brickwork, and they put the plaques back up. So it's something that's sorely needed, and it was a community effort to do that, and I think you'll be pleased with the results. Also, remember that the Memorial Day Parade steps off May 28th. Veterans Park, 10 o'clock. If you're planning on participating, and of course all the council members are always invited to march. If you're planning on participating, you show up and let us know, and the council will march as a group. This year, I know in the past 2 years, we've had a situation where the parade has been canceled due to weather. This year it's been decided that short of an earthquake, we're going to have the parade. So if it rains, bring your umbrella, bring a raincoat, but we're going to have the parade anyway. So that's all that I have. Mr. Tides.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess we're going to go through appointments. See, these are ethics boards and are solely relying on this council. So we have Michael Church, who will be resigning from the ethics board as an alternate, and now I'd like to move Mr. Church as a regular member. I've actually had the honor of knowing Mr. Church for over 20 years, and his family, prominent attorney in the city of Norwalk. A lot of what happens in the ethics board are done behind closed doors, executive session and so forth. But I had the opportunity to reach out to other members of the ethics board, and everyone seems to speak very highly of him. So that being said, I'd like to move Mr. Church as a regular member of the ethics board. All in favor? It looks to be unanimous. Right now, Norwa, excuse me if I demolish his name, Needle-Zeski Eckner. Should have practiced that before I got here, but for the ethics board alternate, would someone like to move, we'll just say Nora, Mr. Igneri?
I've known Nora for a few years now, and I always thought she was a very bright person. And then I get her resume, and I'm really impressed. She graduated from the University of Chicago and received a prize for an outstanding undergraduate thesis. She got an MA and a PhD from Stanford University, and she's currently at Yale Law School, hoping to get her JD in this month, at the end of this month. And she has an 8-month-old child. So she's quite a busy person, and is very involved in the city. So I think she'll make a great addition.
I do not see either of them here, but all in favor of Nora, please raise your hand and signify yes. Looks to be unanimous. Great, moving on. Now this was discussed in caucus, and I had a conversation with Mr. Hempstead as well. We have chosen not to go into an executive session, so we'll just, for the new Associate Corporation Counsel, Mr. Darren L. Callahan. I believe you are here, Mr. Callahan. And just wave to the crowd. Great, thank you. He has an impressive resume.
That's it.
He comes highly recommended by our one and only Corporation Counsel, Mr. Coppola. So that being said, I'd like to move Mr. Callahan, and all in favor? Looks to be unanimous again. Great.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to everyone. All right, now moving on. Consent calendar. Mrs. Siegelbaum has the honor of reading the consent calendar for this evening. And for those in the audience, if you hear your item read, that means your item has been approved and you're no longer obligated to stay. Mrs. Siegelbaum.
Okay, item 7A1, authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute all required documents related to the execution of the easement agreement between the City of Norwalk and the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation for a temporary construction easement of 11,130 plus or minus square feet for the purpose of storage of construction materials and equipment during the walk bridge replacement project for a period of 3 years, unless extinguished sooner by the state upon completion of the project, as depicted on a map prepared by the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation entitled Compilation Plan Town of Norwalk Map Showing Easement Acquired from City of Norwalk by the State of Connecticut Department of Transportation Walk Railroad Bridge Replacement, dated February 2018, or subsequent revisions at a scale of 1 inch equals 20 feet, on file in the Department of Public Works in exchange for payment of $100,000. 7A2, authorize the Mayor Harry W. Rilling to enter into an agreement with WSP USA, Inc. for State Project 102-360, traffic signal upgrade and installation of dynamic message systems for an amount not to exceed $604,661. Account noted. 7A3, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Gabrielli Truck Sales for the purchase of one 2018 Ford F-250 for a sum not to exceed $36,754. Account noted. Number 4, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a second amendment to the June 5th, 2017 contract with Teague and Bond to provide professional engineering services relative to investigating deficiencies and options for the portion of the Norwalk levee located south of the Perry Avenue Bridge adjacent to the Norwalk River for an amount not to exceed $148,200 for construction observation services of project number PM 2018-1 Pavement Management Program. Account noted. Number 5, authorize the Director of Public Works to execute orders on contract with the Grasso Companies, LLC for project PM 2018-1 Pavement Management Program for a sum not to exceed $225,915. Accounts noted. 6A, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with P&S Paving, Inc. for project PM 2018-2 bituminous concrete permanent repairs for a sum not to exceed $382,102.25. Account noted. 6B, authorize the Director of Public Works to execute orders on contract with P&S Paving, Inc. for project PM 2018-2 bituminous concrete permanent repairs for a sum not to exceed $38,210.23. Account noted. 7A, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Seal Coating, Inc. for project PM 2018-3 crack sealing at various locations for a sum not to exceed $187,775. Account number noted. 7B, authorize Director of Public Works to execute orders on contract with Seal Coating, Inc. for project PM 2018-3 crack sealing at various locations for a sum not to exceed $18,777.50. Account noted. 7B1, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a sub-grant agreement between the City of Norwalk and Odyssey Learning, Inc. to provide for child daycare grant funding in the amount of $714,228.32 for eligible program expenses. 2, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a sub-grant agreement between the City of Norwalk and Growing Seeds Child Development Center, Inc., CDC, LLC, to provide for child daycare grant funding in the amount of $609,385.92 for eligible program expenses. Number 3, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a sub-grant agreement between City of Norwalk and Odyssey Learning, Inc. to allocate $57,035.40 of child daycare grant funding for the operation of the 2018 summer child care programming for Head Start children. Number 4, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a sub-grant agreement between the City of Norwalk and Stepping Stones Museum for Children, Inc., to allocate $57,862 of child daycare grant funding for the operation of the 2018 summer child care programming for Head Start children. 7C1, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute separate master services agreements with DiCarlo and Dahl and Andriopoulos Design Associates for on-call professional consulting services to be performed on an as-needed basis related to peer architectural planning review. The scope of work will be performed pursuant to individual letters of agreement detailing the scope of the work for each project. Services will be paid for by individual applicants with the department. Number 2, authorize the Director of Planning and Zoning to execute the letters of agreement for individual projects on an as-needed basis to authorize the work to be done. Number 3, approve the application for Connecticut's 2018 Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program, NAATCP, for referral to the state for inclusion in the NAA Tax Credit Program. 7D1A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Innovative Engineering Services, LLC, to provide commissioning services for the new Columbus School at Ely site for a total not to exceed $51,400, account noted. 1B, authorized to establish a contingency for additional services as may be required for a total not to exceed $5,000. 2A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Colliers International to provide commissioning services for the Ponus Ridge Middle School additions and renovations for a total not to exceed $80,350, account noted. 2B, authorized to establish a contingency for additional services as may be required for a total not to exceed $8,000. 3A, approve Norwalk Facilities Construction Commission acting in accordance with Norwalk ordinances as the Norwalk School Building Committee for the Norwalk High School Improvement Projects. 3B, authorize the preparation of schematic drawings and outline specifications for the Norwalk High School Improvement Projects. 3C, authorize the filing of a school grant application to the State Department of Administrative Services for the Norwalk High School Improvement Projects project. Connecticut General Assembly defined project type is A, alteration, AKA improvements or renovation, CV, code violation, AKA ADA. Number 4, authorized to increase contingency allowance for Turco Golf Incorporated's contract for Oak Hill Park Improvement Project for an additional $9,617.74 for a total of $59,617.74, and authorize Office of Building Management to issue change orders on contract. Funds are available from DEEP grant, account noted. 5A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute a contract with Supertech, Inc. for the Norwalk Concert Hall Stage Lighting Control System Replacement Project for a total not to exceed $37,986, account noted. 5B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change orders on contract for a total not to exceed $3,798. 7D6A, rescind Common Council action of January 9th, 2018, number 7D, 1A, and 1B, which authorize the following. 1A, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Transfer Enterprises for the City Hall Community Room Improvement Project for a total not to exceed $47,000, account noted. 1B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change orders on contract for a total not to exceed $4,700. 6B, new action, 1A, authorize Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with Reed Tech LLC for the community room upgrade project for a total not to exceed $88,400, account noted. 1B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change order on contract for a total not to exceed $8,840. 7D, 7A, authorize the purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Valley Communication Systems, Inc. for audio and visual equipment for the City Hall Community Room for a total not to exceed $49,399.24, account noted. 7B, authorize the Office of Building Management to issue change orders on contract for a total not to exceed $1,000. And number 8, authorize to increase change order allowance with Domus Constructor LLC for Matthews Mansion Museum ADA Improvement Project by $27,115. Revised total allowance is $60,000. $17,115 is available from the state DECD grant, account noted, and $10,000 from Historical Commission capital budget, account noted.
Thank you, Mr. Sewell. That's one of the longer consent calendars I've seen in quite some time. All right, now I will call for a vote. If there are no objections. Mr. Igneri?
I would like to add one item to the consent calendar, and that's under corporate counsel. It's a consent to table to the next council meeting the authorization to settle claim Austin Getna, parent for Amy Getna versus the City of Norwalk et al.
There was some brief discussion not too long ago that there was some talk. We were going to continue. We were going to go into the executive session to discuss it further.
There was an email that we received that I received saying that there was some issue with potentially we're not able to resolve it with regard to some expert depositions,
Okay, I retract,
which we didn't know before. So I
retract mine.
Mrs. Ball?
And also 1A and 1B removed from consent.
Under what?
Under land use.
It's huge. 1A and 1B. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one, all in favor of approving the consent calendar as read with the exception and the removal of items D, 1A and 1B, please raise your hand to signify yes. Looks to be unanimous. Mr. Mayor, back to you.
I'm sorry, it's not unanimous. I'm going to vote against it.
And let the record show, Mr. Sims has voted no to the consent calendar.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Livingston.
Well, no to the consent calendar, does that mean the whole calendar? Nothing's on consent?
Are you taking everything off consent?
I'm not taking anything off consent. I'm just not.
You're just not voting.
Supporting it, correct.
Supporting it.
Okay.
It passes.
Okay. Excuse me, okay.
Okay, Mr. Livingston,
Okay.
items 7D, 1A, and 1B.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to move the items and then brief comment. Item 7D1A, authorizing Mayor Harry W. Rilling to execute an agreement with Innovative Engineering Services, LLC, to provide commissioning services for the new Columbus School at Ely site for a total not to exceed $51,400, account noted, and 1B, authorized to establish a contingency for additional services as may be required for a total not to exceed $5,000. This item is similar to the one for 2A and 2B, which relates to PONUS. These are services, and Alan Lowe is here to add any comment if anybody has questions, that are required by the state when we are constructing a building. This is a company that makes sure, essentially, that the systems work properly. I think, Alan, I'm saying that correctly. It is required by the state.
Excuse me. Yes, it is. It's as part of the high-performance building standards that the state requires when we do a school construction project. excuse me, is basically equal to a LEED silver requirement to do this. It's really on the mechanical side, so all the equipment is tested and programmed so that all the equipment operate accordingly.
Further to Ms. Bowman.
There are quite a few items tonight related to the South Norwalk school property. As myself and Councilman Sims have long stated, the site is not correct. For some reason, Dr. Adamowski tasked the facilities chair, Mike Barbas, with looking at South Norwalk open space to build a school instead of looking at existing buildings. And we've long been against this project. I am not going to, so that is why I pulled it off. This is an item related to that project. I'm going to save my comments for my bulky comments for the rest of the items on related to this topic, but that is why I pulled it off, so that I can vote against this.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, 13 in favor, 2 opposed. Mr. Sims and Ms. Bowman. Motion to go into executive session, I believe, is the next item.
Item 10,
Or 9A.
Which one?
9A, 9B are executive session.
Yeah.
So
the motion to go into executive
I'll
session.
move that.
Mr. Livingston moves to go into executive session. All in favor? Opposed? We are going into executive session at 8:06.
No.
Are you ready?
That's what I have.
Did we?
Okay, so we're out of executive session at 8:14. During executive session, no motions were made, no votes were taken. I would now entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss items 6A1, Corporation Council, and 7D, 9A, and 9B. Motion?
So moved.
Made by Mr. Igneri. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Sims, are you opposed or in favor?
I'm opposed.
Opposed? Okay. So we are now in executive session at 8:15. Thank you.
Now we have to.
An hour with the same kinds of discussions we just had. Right, somebody has to call. I can't call it.
5 minutes.
Okay, we are out of executive session at 9:36 p.m. During executive session, no motions were made, no votes were taken. So we're back in session, and we're dealing with item 7D, 9A, and 9B. Mr. Livingston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to move both items together. 9A, approve the proposed acquisition of properties located at 4 Tito Court and 10 Tito Court through direct purchase and/or through eminent domain process for open space as part of the proposed new Columbus School project. And 9B, authorize the Mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents necessary for the acquisition of properties located at 4 Tito Court and 10 Tito Court.
Mr. Livingston, move the item. Discussion. Ms. Bowman.
I will be opposing this item. As stated several times, I'm against disrupting the neighborhood in this manner and pushing out a church and pushing out a business of taxpayers in South Norwalk constituents, so I will not be voting for this item.
Further discussion. Mr. Sims.
Yes, I also will not be supporting the movement of this item. And as we stated previously, this business has been part of South Norwalk for since '98, since the '90s, and these folks have a right to work where they want to work. They own their building. I mean, they've done everything the right way, and I think the city should not be in the practice of forcing folks out for their own personal agendas. This school has not even been approved by the National Park Association or DEEP, and we're passing millions and millions and millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to the Board of Ed in a responsible manner. I just think that, you know, each and every one of you should take some full responsibility of what's going on here. You guys repeatedly disregarded the 2 representatives of this district through this entire term. Anytime it comes down to South Norwalk and we explain to you exactly what is going on, and again, most of you are just getting on the council, so you're just pushing the agenda that you don't even know what you're pushing. This is affecting not just African Americans, this is affecting Latinos as well. And what you're doing is you're forcing this, you're forcing the hand of the people to further push this agenda, and you're helping gentrify the city even more. This is absurd, and it's an atrocity of what's going on here in South Norwalk. And I think the people should get off their butt and come out and fight and stand up to the city once and for all and say enough is enough. This is a blatant disrespect for the residents of South Norwalk, the taxpayers of South Norwalk, and the business owners of South Norwalk, including the 2 representatives here. That's all I have to say.
Further discussion?
I think just very briefly.
Melendez?
There are 2 representatives from South Norwalk and 5 at-large members who also represent South Norwalk.
But they don't live in South Norwalk.
Ms. Melendez has the floor. Mr. Sims?
And furthermore, I'll keep it very brief. I think we've had a lot of votes on these issues pertaining to this project. Members who were elected 6 months ago, I think, in my opinion, made an effort to understand these issues, to go to meetings. So I just think it's disrespectful to say that, you know, they just got on and they're just furthering an agenda. That's all I want to say.
Further discussion? Mr. Hempstead?
Board of Ed put forward a plan that's for the school year. They unanimously voted for the plan. The council then took on accepting the master plan. The council, previous council, have put money into this term to actually construction of the schools, capital money before the last council put money in there forward for getting design done for the school system. We're building a school. We're not building a private enterprise on this property. We're not building some other land developer to come in and develop the property, hand it off to them. We're building a school, and I just sometimes, I have trouble wrapping my arms around sometimes some of the arguments coming forth, because to me, it's just like we're building a public school.
No, you're not. You're building a semi-private school.
Mr. Sims, I'd ask you to please stop interrupting. We have a man who has the floor.
Well,
We've allowed you to speak.
If he's going to make a comment,
You can respond to the comment after it's over.
It's not a public.
Nobody has
order.
interrupted you.
is.
Nobody has interrupted you, Mr. Sims. I would ask that you respect the other council members as well. Mr. Hempstead, will you please continue?
As far as I know, the way we understand this, that we're going to move a Columbus school, which is a public school, over to this property, so we then can rehab that public school, put more students on, because we have 110% occupancy of our classrooms in our school system. So to me, this is like, we're building a school. Done.
Further discussion? Ms. Bowman?
Although we are building a school, and I understand it's a part of the plan, there are several flaws with the plan. First, it is Columbus School, and Columbus School is in South Norwalk now, and most of the kids who live around Columbus School go to Jefferson. So if you're moving Columbus School there, then you're not necessarily building a school for those residents that are immediately in that area, and that is a large concern. The neighborhood school did not fly in that exact location because there would be a racial imbalance. So not only are we taking the land, and we'll talk about the land swap on the next item, but we're taking land from these residents, and then they're not necessarily going to be let into the school. I understand there's going to be some seats set aside for them, but it's not going to be their neighborhood school. I will reserve the rest of my comments for the next item.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? And opposed? Mr. Cadiz, I didn't see, okay.
No. It was-
Oh, okay. So it was 12 in favor, 2 opposed, because we have one councilman that had to leave. So the item carries and passes.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a motion to call for a 5-minute recess?
A 5-minute recess, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Recess for 5 minutes.
But they were not part of the executive.
Oh, we did those. We did that earlier.
What? Mr. Capola. All right, we're back in session. Mr. Livingston, item 7D10.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move the item and speak to it for a moment. Item 10, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all documents necessary to submit to applicable regulatory agencies and to implement the open space land swap necessary for the construction of the new Columbus School at Ely site. Proposed land swap will remove the federal and state open space restrictions on approximately 3.28 acres of Springwood Ely Park situated on Ingalls Avenue, District 5, Block 83, Lot 52, for the construction of the new Columbus School and encumber approximately 10.04 acres of city-owned undeveloped property on Richards Avenue, District 5, Block 68, Lot 220, behind Norwalk Community College as open space land subject to federal and state use restrictions. This is the next step in moving the new Columbus School ahead. Since the new school will be constructed at the park, we need to replace the open space used by the new building. The new building and parking will take approximately 4.21 acres of the approximately 18-acre site. That's with the Tito properties. Since we are taking the Tito properties at 0.93 acres, we need to replace 3.28 acres. And the replacement property behind NCC consists of approximately 10 acres. And contrary to some things that have been said, that was never designated or deeded as open space. So this will ensure that there can't be development there. Based on appraisals, the two properties have similar land values. And as I noted before in the executive session, we had looked for other properties in South Norwalk that we could use for open space. As I said, I'm sympathetic to the need for open space there. I think we should continue to look for space. But the properties we looked at would have required more dislocation and significant additional costs. And as also I mentioned in the executive session, the active recreational space on the expanded Ely site, including the new multi-purpose field, will increase 14%. So I'm moving this item.
Mr. Livingston, move the item. Discussion? Mr. Sims?
Yes, I'm going to be opposing this item. And, this has been going on for far too long. Again, many of you weren't even on the council when this transpired. And, this site, when they first did the initial study of this site, we passed a budget to allow the Board of Ed to do a study, and the study was basically for the St. Philip's property. And shortly after they got the confirmation, they switched the gears and went and chose the Nathaniel Illy property. That shows all along that they coerced this entire effort to take this Nathaniel Illy Park from the people. Okay, these people are the middle class and low income folks in the city, and most of the folks that live in Bruner Court, this is the only open land that these folks in that area have over at Nathaniel Illy Park. And to take this away, from the kids, take it away from the residents and taxpayers of this district is just not right. I see this racial undertone for the last 4 years with this council. You have two African American representatives from this district, which I am proud to say that I served this district for the last 10 years, and to be totally disrespected the way I have with this council is just absurd. Faye Bowman and I, we work hard for our constituents. And to not take our recommendations as part of a democratic process and to be denied the right to make sure that we are representing the true values of the people and the voices of the small businesses of our district by this body. And this is our own party who's doing this to us. You all should be ashamed of yourselves, because there's no way that we should be appropriating millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars to this project, especially when DEEP and the National Parks Association has not even given the city approval to build on this site. The Board of Ed tried taking this property some years ago and was denied by the state. And here they are again, because we have a new administration to push the same idea and the same racist attempt to try to take this property away from the people is just absurd. And I thought by having a Democratic majority that this would actually protect the people of South Norwalk. This isn't an African American thing. This is also affecting all the Latinos as well, and all the Haitian Americans as well. And for us to continue to just push to drive this this agenda is just not in the best interest of the residents, and it showed by having this document in front of us where you're saying you want to take away these people open space park, neighborhood park, and move it 6 miles away behind North Community College. What are you telling the people today of South Norwalk? You're not telling them that you care about them. You're not telling them that you have sympathy for them. You're telling them one thing: we're going to gentrify this city at whatever cost it takes. And I hope the people in South Norwalk are sitting back and paying attention to this. Not just again African Americans, but the Latinos, the Haitian American community, and all the ethnic and racial communities throughout the urban community here in South Norwalk. They should be appalled. They should be just like Cranberry Park residents when they came out and stood up against having an obstacle course at Cranberry Park. But the city heard them. When is this city going to stand up and listen to the people of South Norwalk? Again, the lowest income earners in this city. We don't listen to them because they don't have all the money. So I think what the city should do is not approve this. The city should go back to the drawing board and look at other sites throughout the city. The folks from Row 8 and on the Board of Ed and on this council are some of the driving forces behind this. Why aren't they looking at Row 8 and to put the school there? Why aren't they looking at Cranberry Park to put the school there? Why aren't they looking at Taylor Farm or other properties throughout the city? Marvin School, Old Marvin School. There's various sites throughout the city that can accommodate what the Board of Ed and what the city is looking for. But to choose this park, especially against the will of the consultants that the city paid for, when they initially told you that this was not the ideal spot, that they told you not to build a school here because of the topography and because of the ledge, and that how much millions of dollars more that this would cost the city. And every time there's opposition, they come back with a different schematic, different outlook. Before it's right in the middle of the baseball field. Now it's pushed further into the woodlands. Now you're messing with the environmental portions of it now. I would say look even if we have to spend more money, look at the property where the old NCC site was. I think that would be more sufficient to put a school there. But to continue just to use all these different facts, figures, statistics, etc., to say that this is the reason why we should take these people apart. That is absurd. And I'm appalled at this entire council that we allow this to happen. And I hope all of you here that is supporting this initiative can sleep well at night. And I hope the people of South Norwalk and throughout the city recognize what is going on here. This is no other than basic discrimination of the people of this area. And I rest my case with that.
Further discussion? Mr. Ioannidis?
I would just like to say that I am going to be supporting this. As stated earlier, it's not going to be taking away any land. It will actually be adding passive or usable space for people to be able to use and enjoy recreationally. So that was the first thing I wanted to respond to. Another thing, as far as the state not approving it, they can't do that until we actually pass. So that's a pointless argument. We need to be in possession of the land and everything necessary to do this swap. So that's the second thing I wanted to mention. Third, the entire Board of Education unanimously voted for it, which includes a representative from District B. As far as looking at other schools and sites to do this, we have done that. We have a whole list of those that Tom did allude to earlier in executive session. We can, I don't have the names on the top of my head, but I'm sure he'd be happy to read those to you if you so desired. The old NCC site can't be used due to restrictions on having multiple floors and certain age groups needing to be on a ground floor. We discussed that in executive session as well. So we did survey many schools. My final point, I grew up in District B. I lived on Bayview Avenue with my father. My parents were divorced. I had to take a bus an hour to Brian McMahon every day, where I got picked up near Bayview and had to go all through Rowayton, and it took a very long time to get to school and to get home from school every single day. If somebody told me they were going to put a school right near where I lived and I didn't have to spend all that time getting up early, coming home late to go to school, I would be ecstatic, and that is another reason why I'm going to be supporting this. Thank you.
Mr. Sachinelli?
I just wanted to, for the record, we did hold a public hearing in the Land Use Committee of the residents, and again, representing as an at-large council member. I've been hearing quite a bit from the public, but the residents that came out and identified themselves as South Norwalk residents were actually in favor of this in the public hearing. There were residents that spoke against it that had, preference one way or the other, but they weren't residents of South Norwalk, and that just to make sure that's on record for tonight, and that's all been identified in the Land Use Committee meeting. The residents from South Norwalk that have come out have been in favor of this. Thank you.
Further discussion? Ms. Bowman?
So I'll start off by responding to some of the things I just heard. I keep hearing the usable space argument, that we will be adding usable space. That's not true. That's not true. One, you're taking the baseball field, and number two, if you want to give us more usable space, give us more usable space. We already own the parkland, so give us more usable space. You can do that without taking away the parkland we already have. The District B rep may have voted for it, but one, as far as I know, from the part I heard, he does not attend very many Board of Education meetings. He does not attend our local Board of District B committee meetings, and so I'm not sure exactly who he is representing. Not only that, the facilities chair, Mike Barbas, his original statement quoted in the NCO Norwalk about this property was, it was a terrible idea. And then students will still be bused. So most of the South Norwalk students will still be getting on a bus. Even they will lose a park and still be getting on a bus and riding across town, because you are moving Columbus School to this location. You're not building a neighborhood school. Former Councilman Mr. Bonifant made a statement to those in East West Norwalk, where you're proposing to transfer this land. Don't get used to your open space just because they're adding a federal and state use restriction, because guess what? Our park has a federal and state restriction on it, and this city obviously does not care about that because they're proposing right now to take it away. Instead of giving us more usable space, if you would like to give us more usable space. I will not be supporting this. Now I'm going to get into some of my points. I just wanted to respond to those things. I will not be supporting this land swap because we had Mr. Lowe held up 2 pictures. He held up one picture of Nathaniel Ely Park and the wooded area around Nathaniel Ely Park. I'm still of the belief that the area behind the wooded area that was left was left there intentionally to be a buffer between that park and the industrial companies that are on the street, Wilson Avenue, Route 136, the State Street, and the park, and then those residential neighborhoods. The place that we're proposing to move the restrictions to, it is a buffer. We know that that's a buffer. That was promised to the neighbors to always remain a buffer between NCC in exchange for NCC being built there. Now, we just know that because of something that came before the council. But I would assume that the same sort of situation happened in South Norwalk in Nathaniel Ely Park, and it ended up, and guess how it probably ended up? It probably ended up with the park being federally and state restricted as it is, and as it should stay. If NCC needs their own federal and state restriction, we should get it for them, but that does not mean taking it away from South Norwalk students. What can we do to add seats? Now, first of all, do I think that this is going to add seats anytime soon within the next 10 years? I do not. We've had 2 or 3 years worth of work before you can even put a shovel in the ground. The shovel cannot go in the ground right now. That's why we are here. We have several years before that can even happen. And then from there, I believe we're supposed to do some work on Columbus for school, but that won't happen until the first school is built. So how far are we going to add seats in the next 5 years? Not on this site, even if it goes forward as planned, even with what we know needs to happen right now. In the next 5 years, we won't see any seats. Is it too late to go back and look at something else? I don't think it's too late to look at something else. You have the old NCC building. Yeah, it might be too tall, but you can do some construction. Yeah, it may cost money, but it's going to cost you money to acquire 2 pieces of property and then pay for it, because DEEP has told us that it is going to cost us money, additional money that no one's accounted for. But the state also, if you look at the same thing that the state is, the thing that the state is doing simultaneously is passing laws around state-owned land and how it is transferred, which means you're going to have an extra cost there that we haven't even accounted for yet. So how much is it going to cost to knock down a building? Or what about Class on Water Street? They just moved out of that building. What about that building? We did not look at commercial property. So if anyone here thinks that we looked at commercial property, you need to go back and check your record. We did not look at commercial property. We looked at existing school buildings, one being the Nathaniel Ely building, and the state told them that they cannot take that building. The state has already told us no. They told us we can't take that building. They told us we can't touch the wetlands that are on this property. They told us 2 things, in which case, the plan is, I believe it was at one point, to build a bridge over the swamp to walk down, so then to have the kids walk down to the to the field. So let's talk about lawsuits. Hopefully no one falls off of that bridge, that swamp. But we looked at existing schools. Merrimack was supposed to be a pre-K through 8, and it was farther above the list than the Nathaniel Ely school, but they didn't want it, and it didn't happen. St. Philip's or the St. Mary's or St. Philip's, whichever one in District A, was also on the list. They didn't want it, and it didn't happen. So Nathaniel Ely building and expanding the Nathaniel Ely school couldn't happen because the state told us no. So instead we said, okay. So instead, apparently, then somebody had the nerve, and I hear is Dr. Adamowski, and that's who was pinned on that last time, had the nerve to say, go in South Norwalk and find a field in an open space and take it from them, and we're going to put a building smack dab in the middle. They looked at Flax Hill Park. They said it didn't fit, and I'm pretty sure the other reason is there's a different income population over there. They weren't going to dare put it over there in South Norwalk, and I'm glad they didn't take that open space. But they picked a neighborhood where you have low-income families, and they said, we're gonna put it here. Because, yeah, you knew no one was gonna come out here and raise a fuss because of the neighborhood you chose to put it in. You put it in Flax Hill. You think the people in that neighborhood want you to take their park any more than the people that live near Flax Hill wanted you to take that park? You know they would have came out. Bet you try to put a building on Flax Hill Park. That wouldn't have happened. But instead, you want to put a building on Nathaniel Ely, or the Springwood Park. Next to Bruno Court, next to other low-income people, on a piece of property that is state and federally restricted. It's already state and federally restricted. So, I want to say to the West Norwalk, the individuals in West Norwalk, one, don't get too used to it, because obviously we don't care anything about a federal or a state restriction. And then two, if you didn't want a Habitat for Humanity built there, well, now you're going to have a park. And now our kids will be at that park. And I'm going to see to it that they have some free busing over to that park. So we will see you all in West Norwalk if this comes through.
Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passes 12-2. Mr. Kites, we will go to item under Corporation Council A1, 6A1.
I'd like to make a motion to, I believe we decided a motion to table the item, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Kites made a motion to table. The motion to table is not debatable. All in favor? Opposed? Mr. Sims, did you vote?
Yeah, I voted.
You opposed or in favor?
I'm in favor.
Okay, it carries unanimously.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously.